Well, hello everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes, give everyone a chance to get logged in. My name is Mike Belcher. I'm from Qualcomm. I lead out our North America Channels program. We're going to be talking about AI PCs, Copilot Plus, our technologies that are enabling all of this. So we're excited that you're here. Just hang tight for another minute or two and we'll get to joining. Huge thank you to Connection for inviting me to speak with you all today. We've been seeing tons of questions come in ahead of the event, and I know there'll be more coming in. We'll be addressing as many of those as we can get, and the ones that we can't get to online, I'll come back in later today and start answering some of those questions in the LinkedIn Live section. So thank you again. Give us just another minute. All right, thank you for coming on in. Give us just another minute to get started. Give everyone a chance. This next half hour is going to go really quick. We've got about 20 minutes of content for you here that I'm going to share, and it's going to be fast paced, so I will warn you, it's going to go fast. But we want to leave another 10 minutes at the end so that we can answer as many questions as we can. Thank you for joining. My name is Mike Belcher from Qualcomm. Huge thanks to the Connection team for inviting me to speak with you all here today. I sure hope this is a great use of your time. I hope you'll walk away with a lot of great insight and knowledge, and hopefully be able to take that to your customers. If you are a customer or a client, that you'll learn more about directionally where this next generation of PCs are going and why it's going to be so important. So thank you for joining. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So, hello everyone. My name is Mike Belcher. I am the director for North America Channels at Qualcomm. I've been here a little over 2 years. I had 15 years at HP, 10 years at Gateway. I've been in this industry a long time. I can remember a lot of old technologies. We're going to talk about some of the latest and greatest technologies here today. Have to give a huge thank you to Connection for setting this up. We're going to dive into some really great content here. Hopefully you'll get a lot out of this. Please keep your questions coming online and we'll get to as many of those as we can. And with that, let's go ahead and get started up. All right. Well, one of the things that we think is hugely valuable as we start thinking about AI PCs, this next generation of technology, is how it's going to help us improve our productivity. I don't know about you all, but I just looked at my email. I have over 900 unread emails, which is kind of frightening. But I hear folks all the time talk about how challenging things are right now. We're being asked to do more with less. And honestly, we think this technology is going to be one of those that truly does help us. So I'm going to start off with just a little bit of background there. One of the things that we think is going to be so important as we start thinking through why we may want to look at this next generation of technology, we've all been deploying a ton of new devices that we just had to purchase maybe and utilize because there was nothing else because of the pandemic. We couldn't get devices built. People couldn't go to work. We had to work from home. So we had to use whatever we could get our hands on. In conjunction with that, Windows 10, which has been around a long time now, is actually going end of support in October of next year. And so there's about 35 million devices that are going to need to be refreshed just in the US, which is kind of mind-boggling when you think about it, between now and October. Those devices just aren't going to be able to run Windows 11, and they certainly won't be able to run these new AI feature sets. And as we think about directionally where most of us are, and I was talking about how overwhelmed most of us are right now, it is a huge challenge. We do think this era of AI is going to help us in this productivity sort of challenge that we're all facing right now. So as we look at some of this, right, we think about productivity. About 65% of all employees in a recent study felt burnout in 2023. I'm sure some of you have felt that. I know I sure have, as we've been maximizing all that we can possibly do. This idea of struggling to have enough time to do your job the way you would like to is maybe even more challenging now. We were able to have a lot of that time when we were working from home. We didn't have much that we could do outside of the home because of the pandemic, and so we devoted a lot of time to that. Now that we have our lives back, it's really, really challenging to keep that pace up and to continue to improve more and more. And so we're having to look for ways to make that happen. And we do think that this next generation of technology is going to help us there, right? And so if you don't know what a Copilot Plus PC is, this is the next generation of devices. Microsoft is set some kind of standards wrapped around that you have to have some certain technology that can run 40 trillion operations per second on a neural processor. We'll talk about that in a moment. That allows us to run AI in the background and do so really efficiently. So these NPUs, or neural processing units, run incredibly fast. They're incredibly good at AI operations. And while we have CPU to do the traditional compute tasks, where we have graphics processors to do graphics, we really need an NPU to drive these AI experiences, and also to allow our ISVs to go develop new applications that run on these NPUs. And for us, we think it's the idea of how do we think about achieving more versus doing more, right? And so you do a lot of work, and I have a lot of emails, but are they helping me achieve the goals of our organization? Does our business run effectively the way it should when I'm doing more, or is it really about how do I achieve more? Boy, could I get rid of a lot of these mind-numbing, soul-sucking tasks that happen to me every day. And we really do think that that's where the future of these AI PCs are going to go. And we're going to see lots of help come from the software providers that begin to allow us to take a lot of this traditional tactical sort of work and allow our computers to do a lot of that for us, or at least provide that information for us so we don't have to continually do the same thing over and over again. And so, setting that stage, we wanted to kind of talk about the silicon behind the Copilot Plus PC, and we'll talk about some of the experiences that we think are going to be important for you all to know and understand. And so, thinking about what that looks like has really been our charge. I came here to Snapdragon and to Qualcomm really because of this future of this technology. I saw what it looked like 3 years ago, and it blew me away. And that was before I knew about the AI capabilities. Just how few power consumption there is with this next generation of technology, how the NPUs work, and that the ISVs are going to be able to actually design applications to run off these really low power processors was going to be really important. And so our whole focus for the last 4+ years right now, has been on the development of this technology. And so we've just released devices here in the last month and a half in the commercial space called the Snapdragon X series. And the Elite is our top of the line processors, which have come out first. X Plus are in process of being released as well. And these are 12 and 10 core processors that are a little bit different. They're designed different than what we're used to seeing from our x86 counterparts. And if you look at this image, this is actually the image of an x86 motherboard, right? What does that look like? And so while this has done us well for the last 40 years, we're getting to this point where the amount of power that it consumes, because it has to run all this information around this motherboard, the memory is separate from the processing chips, the wireless is separate from processing. None of that is built in together. Now, what Qualcomm has always been known for is building these Snapdragon chips for phones that are incredibly powerful, that are incredibly efficient, right? If we think about the battery life that we get out of a phone, they're really, really strong and good. And we've been building NPUs for 12 years. We've been putting them in phones. No one has done this in compute outside of Apple. And so for us, it was really, how do we take this to the Windows world and make that work? And so we shrink that motherboard that's about the size of your keyboard and shrink it down to about a 50-cent piece size chip. And on that chip are a slew of different processors. So we have the world's most powerful CPU right now. We beat our x86 competitors in their current products and in their AI PCs in performance and multi-threaded performance in particular. Our GPU outperforms them. Our NPU, which is really what makes us different, way outperforms our competition, and even outperforms the Mac processors, which is kind of mind-boggling. And on that chip are also some things like a security processing unit that allows us to load Pluton embedded into the chip. And that's Microsoft security software that is incredibly powerful and really valuable that it's at that chip level. So you have true chip to cloud protection on your devices, improving the security devices instead of having those separately on a motherboard. We have a sensing hub that has a slew of different sensors and a micro NPU on it. And that's what actually runs all of our audio and video. It does all of our sensors and allows us to get much better video and audio quality. And we're going to start to see, as a lot of the computer parts manufacturers build better cameras, they needed this technology to make that happen. So you're going to see lots of improvements that come across the line there as well. So this NPU, incredibly valuable to have that. We also put in there a 5G modem. And so the OEM, so every manufacturer has the choice of whether to enable 5G on the device. Our chip is already there. You just need to put in the radios. There's some extra cost that goes along with that. So in many cases, there may be one or two SKUs that are available from manufacturers as you go forward. It's got the latest versions of Wi-Fi. We invent all of the 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G standards, which are in process right now, believe it or not. So Qualcomm is really good at building wireless, and so we have some of the fastest devices in how they connect as well. But if you think how efficient this processor is, right? Everything is in that one little small chip, and so the amount of information that has to travel between itself, very, very small. It doesn't put out a whole lot of heat. If we think about our phones, we keep them in our pockets most of the day, and they don't overheat, right? So we have the same sort of value as we build these new chips for our PCs. And if we look at some of this performance, it looks really good. So both the Elite and the Plus series kind of blow away our competition. But what's most important is they blow away the competition, particularly on power and how much power it takes to maximize the actual processing. And it's because of that architecture, right, that allows us to do that. And so that reserves more power for your device. We're all used to at least all day, if not multiple day sort of battery life on our phones. We're finally going to get to multi-day battery on our PCs. I don't know about you, I travel all the time. And this is one of those key sort of criteria that we think is incredibly important in this next generation of devices. We actually even outperform the M3 from Apple in multi-threaded performance on both the Elite and the Plus, so our top of the line and middle line processors. So that CPU is incredibly powerful, but very, very power efficient as we go along with it. So this battery life changes dramatically. We see great improvements, right? 40% longer battery life in running just the Office 365 apps. I don't know about you, but that's where I spend a lot of my time. The bottom one is where I spend probably the most amount of my time, which is on Teams video calls. I don't know about you, but I am on, in many cases, dozens per day. And so the ability to have this really great battery life while I'm out on the road, incredibly valuable. We heard from some folks who are using some of this initial technology just yesterday with clients that had 5 days of battery life. They had not had to charge the device in for 5 days, which was kind of mind-boggling to me. But that's the kind of not only great raw performance, but power efficiency performance that we see in this tech. What really sets us apart and what I want to spend the rest of our time on is really around AI and this enablement of AI. That NPU that we talked about is what enables us to get to these really new experiences on the devices. That enables Copilot Plus and the experience that Microsoft is building. It enables all of the ISVs. You know, think of folks like Adobe that could actually integrate AI capabilities into some of those really powerful applications like Photoshop or Premiere, but allow some of the AI to actually do a lot of that work for us. So we don't have to do that grunt work. Think about coding, et cetera, right? And allowing the AI processors who are really efficient at this to go out and do that work for us. And then to personalize these devices, we think is really going to be valuable. You can't do that without an NPU, and you can't do it without at least 40 TOPS. Microsoft certifies a Copilot Plus device that it has an NPU that can run at least 40 TOPS. So 40 trillion operations per second. We're at 45, and you won't see us go below that on any of our processors as we go forward. It doesn't matter what price range they're in, they will all come with this same NPU. So it gives you that freedom to know what I'm purchasing right now, I'm going to be able to drive all of that next generation software that's being built into the future. And we don't know that if we're buying devices that don't have the NPUs at these sorts of levels. And I think that's one of those key decision criteria that a lot of folks are going to have to make. Boy, do I want to buy a device now that doesn't have this and then have to buy another one a year from now or 6 months from now when I need to run these new applications that run off of the NPU. I think this is one of those things you have to have in the back of your mind. And if you look at our current PC laptop competition, it's about 100 times faster we can operate in our tops, and directionally how that works, and particularly on power. To get to 45 tops, we only need 300 milliwatts of power, which is very, very small. To maximize the CPU on a device, for example, you may need 40 watts of power. 300 milliwatts is incredibly small, right? So it's something that not only runs, it can run in the background all the time. I saw a lot of questions come in too around applications. Because we are Windows on ARM, we use ARM architecture and that small little chip. All of the ISVs really need to re-engineer their software. Microsoft has been working on this very, very hard with us to get all of the major software manufacturers to redesign their software to run natively on ARM. And the vast majority are either done or in process of doing. We have over 1,000 applications we've tested working right now. About the only issue we have is really on older Windows 10 applications that were built for legacy, devices. Those are the biggest challenge. We also created with Microsoft and worked on them with the Microsoft Prism emulator. And so for any of the apps that haven't been ported over to ARM, it's allowed us to make that happen, to allow us to give that great experience and allow us to run those applications natively on the device. And as we think about this performance on applications, they all run faster. All the browsers run faster. The battery life is so much better as they operate, right? A lot of us do the majority of our work inside of a browser like I'm doing right now, and everything runs faster on our technology because of that efficiency and how well that's tight and works. Chrome browsing way faster, Edge browsing way faster. It's pretty mind-boggling how quickly things operate on this device, and when folks use it, that's exactly what they see. The launch speeds to get these applications to actually launch incredibly faster. So it's just this whole kind of turbocharged experience that you get out of these devices. And we really need that so that we free up that AI engine to do this really cool stuff in the background. Some of the things that we can do are coding on these devices and use the NPU to drive all of that. So, for example, Visual Studio Code, a code gen, allows us to input sample code and then tell the tool what you want to create and allow it to go build that. So in seconds, you can get a day's worth of coding done, right? Think of that as a software developer. This is huge. And we're going to see lots of new sorts of capabilities come forward from software developers, and particularly in coding. You're going to have this huge speed optimization. One of these is on Stable Diffusion, which is an application that allows you to put text in and then get an image created out of your text. And so we can do a 4K high def actual image in 7 seconds. It would take over 20 seconds to do that on our competitive technology. We think about some other sorts of things. Isn't it really challenging, right, to do live translation, right, from one language to another? You can actually do this live running off the NPU really easily. Language is absolutely simple for our NPUs to drive. And so you can listen to foreign podcasts. You'll hear it coming over in the foreign language, but it'll give you the subtitles of everything that's being said, or vice versa. So it's going to allow the world to get smaller and allow us to communicate with folks all over the globe so much easier, so much better. And as we think about these tool sets, they open up a whole new world, right? Allow software developers to integrate all of these inside of their tools so that you open them up to new languages and folks who want to use this across multiple languages in their countries. Many countries speak lots of different languages. And so we want to make sure we take care of those. there's a slew of AI apps being developed. One of the things we needed to do was to get these devices out into market so that the NPU was out and available. These were available then for all of the ISVs to start developing for. Now that that's out in the ether, they're now developing these cool AI features to start to integrate into all the different applications, right? So think about that. If you're an application provider, wouldn't you want to have these AI capabilities into your tools to give your users a leg up, right, on how they use this, no matter what it is. If it's creative, if it's productivity applications, almost everyone will be developing to run off the NPU. And I've been making a prediction that by 2030, we will be more concerned about our NPU performance, because I think most of the computers are going to run off of an NPU, than we will be about CPU and GPU. And it's because they're so efficient, and we're going to need to save power because we're using way too much power across the world right now. And we have to find ways to get more efficient at what we do. And that means bringing AI down to the edge. So, you know what, if you haven't seen the capabilities of this, boy, it would be a great time to start to talk to your folks at the Connection and tell them that you're interested in learning more about this. We're actually pulling together demo units so that you get a chance to actually test out a lot of this equipment and see how it works for you. It is really, really amazing. I will be getting my devices very, very soon. I can't wait. And as soon as I have them, I'll be doing some testing and promoting those out. We've got some great links that we'll share out afterwards here for you too, if you want to go to learn more. And we'll kind of end it right here with some of those. So I'm going to start to look for some questions. And we have first question here. Let's see, what are the key differences between Snapdragon X series and other AI-focused processors in market? And boy, God, that is a really great question, right? So I think, we saw some of that in some of the slides that I showed, but there's really a performance difference, right? So if we think about the performance of not just our CPU and GPU, but particularly that NPU or neural processing unit, you need that to drive AI. And in Microsoft Copilot, for it to personalize for you, that NPU needs to be running in the background all the time. 40 tops gives you plenty of power to drive all sorts of other AI apps, but it gives you enough power to have that running in the background all the time so your device learns what you're doing. When you only have 10 or 15 tops, you just don't have that sort of capability. So you need that performance. And then the architecture is really different, right? From that giant motherboard down to a small system on a chip allows us to conserve power while giving you this even better experience. So you don't really lose anything with this technology, right? All you're doing is gaining. You're gaining speed. You're gaining capabilities. You're using less power. So all of those kind of key advantages are what our architecture delivers, right? Hope that answered that question. Second question, what are the performance benefits of using Snapdragon X series in AI PCs? And so we saw a little bit of that, right? First off, for AI, we've got some great advantages, right? Built around that NPU being able to handle these AI workloads efficiently. And so if we think about directionally how that operates, the NPU has a whole different instruction set. It operates completely different. And so by running at 45 tops and using so little power, you can do amazing amounts of work, right? So you can put 13 billion parameters in your AI engine and run that using only 300 milliwatts. So that's how we can get to that ability, like we showed in Stable Diffusion, to put in text and say, create an image of a majestic lion, and 7 seconds later you have it. And then you go, you know what? I want to put a Snapdragon laptop in the lap of that lion. Please put that there. And 7 seconds later, you have another image, right? This ability for us to iterate, reiterate, think about that level of work that we'd like to do. You can't do it any other way, right? This is the only technology that can deliver on that. And I don't know about you, but my biggest fear, as an IT decision maker, would be that the technology I would purchase now would be outdated to a level that is going to put me at a disadvantage in the future. And I think that's probably my biggest concern about folks who are looking at technologies that don't have a 40 tops NPU. a year from now, you're probably going to be kicking yourself going, why didn't I purchase this, right? And it's because now all these new applications are going to be driven by these NPUs. They're going to be built for NPUs that can perform at that level. We're going to see our competitors. I guarantee you that the x86 competitors that we have are in process right now of building as quickly as they can to catch up. It's just going to take them a little bit of time. But if you don't have that 40 tops, you're going to be making a decision that might hurt your business in the future, right? That gives your employees less capability, that puts them at less productivity standard than your competitors who might choose this technology as they go forward. So I hope that was helpful. Let's see. Third question. What improvements in speech and image recognition are offered with Copilot Plus PCs and the Snapdragon products? So there are some really great resources. If you haven't ever seen, and if you are a software developer or someone who's looking to utilize tools, we've created the Qualcomm AI Hub, and we have it set up so that there's a ton of resources available to kind of help in a number of different areas. But a lot of developers are putting out their code, they're putting out tools and resources in that AI Hub, so that you can start to use those tools to speed up your development of your software. So, live captioning and being able to put that in your speech recognition. Speech and image is one of the things that AI does really, really well in current levels of AI. So you can translate live and build that inside of your tool set, right? Really, really powerful. You can actually pull some of the video right off of a YouTube right now and pull a snippet and then translate it on your device, right? That you wouldn't be able to do anywhere else. And that's all on the device. It's not happening in the cloud. It's all happening right on the device because of that NPU. And so that was one of the other sort of key components. We didn't want to rely on the cloud to do our speech. We didn't want to rely on the cloud to do image creation. We wanted to do it on the device. And so the ability to do faster, better image recognition, speech recognition, and then incorporate those tools into the software development, all right there on the AI Hub. If you haven't seen it, take advantage of it. Very, very cool thing. All right. Fourth question. Let's see. What security features are provided by Snapdragon X Series and Copilot AI Plus PCs? So great question. Security is always a concern, and also it's going to continue to be more and more of a concern, right? Not only do we have challenges where updates happen, like we saw a couple of weeks ago, that knock down our airlines and our hotels, et cetera, but we also have attacks occurring nonstop and ransomware, et cetera. And so this was one of the reasons we work so closely with Microsoft in the development of this. Not only do we need to make sure that our devices were really ready to drive this new experience for Windows, but they were as secure or more secure than any other devices. And if you remember in that chip that I showed, we actually have a security processing unit, so an SPU, and on it is embedded the Microsoft Pluton security. So Pluton got started, I think, maybe 10 years ago on Xboxes to protect those devices and so many kids that were utilizing those devices, et cetera. And it has grown to be this key standard. It's going to be even more important in the future. If you don't have devices that have Pluton embedded, it's going to be hard to provide the same level of security and the layered security that you're going to need to protect yourself. So Pluton is that one way to protect that whole chip. If you can protect the chip, you can protect everything else as we go forward, right? From chip to cloud, we call that. Pluton is that foundation to make that happen. We were the first PCs to actually embed that, and then you will start to see a whole lot of other folks kind of jump on the bandwagon wrapped around this. So great question around that. And then what makes the Snapdragon X Series stand out in the AI PC market? I hope we have answered that question right now. But boy, across the board, you're going to see devices from everyone. Right now in market, we have Lenovo with the ThinkPad T14S. We've got Dell with the Latitude 7455. We've got HP with the EliteBook Ultra 14Q. We've got Samsung with their EdgeBook device. Microsoft will be shipping next month their slew of 3 different Surface products, 2 laptops and the Surface Pro. And so all of those devices have this technology embedded, and then they're adding on all sorts of their own special sauce, right? So if you think about some of those key components, right? I know HP has purchased Poly and has integrated Poly into what they're doing. They're integrating some of those Poly features into the audio and video on these devices. We see Lenovo doing some very, very similar things with some of the audio and video and security. So our devices, there's no one else that can deliver a Copilot Plus PC. This is really the only choice you have. So if you want to test this out, this is the right time to go do that. And boy, I apologize. There are so many questions. There is no way we're going to be able to get to any more here right now. We're just about out of time. I sure hope this was valuable. I hope you got something out of it. Again, we'll be sharing a lot of these links. I'll go back into LinkedIn Live and share that information with you all. Huge thank you to Connection. Thank you so much for allowing me to be out here. Thank you all for your time. Let's get out there and learn how to use these new AI PCs and all the new capabilities that are in them. Thank you all.